Today we're going to be working on these rear brakes on this 2017 Ford Transit Connect. And the only reason I'm doing these brakes is because they're metal to metal and these rotors have to be taken out. So I want to show you what you got to do. Take the caliper, the bracket, pull the axle out, pull the rotor out. It's more than your regular brake job, so I want to show you how it's done. I think I want to set you up on a time lapse so we can show you, and then I'll go over what I'm doing. So, go! So check it out. This is why you want to take these bolts off, because they run through this hub, or this, I guess it's part of the, I guess it's the axle, and then they bolt onto the rotor. So you want to turn this rotor this way and get it out of the way. But the thing is that it won't come out of the way. It won't come out of here. Let me set you back down. See, there's no way it's gonna come out. So what you gotta do is actually get this axle out. But I don't think there's a need to drain the fluid from the differential over there. This little chingadera right here. So I think we just gotta hit it from the back and it should come loose. So let's try that. Let's try a little hammering action and see what happens. So here's the way it's gonna work. Once you have the rotor off the bolts, you're gonna turn it and you're gonna push it against the axle right here so that it's right next to it. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna come back here and you're not gonna hit on this part. You're gonna hit the rotor so that the rotor pushes the axle out. That's the mistake I was doing. I was hitting on this part, which is part of the hub. That's actually gonna stay there, but you want to hit on the rotor right there, and that's gonna bring it out. So it's gonna look something like this. You're gonna lose a little bit of fluid, but that's okay. What you want to do is pull the axle all the way out. And the rotor comes off. So there's no clips that have to come out. You just gotta take it off with those bolts that hold onto the rotor. Once you take those off, flip the rotor so that it fits into the grooves. Fix it against the axle and then hammer it out. It's gonna be pretty easy. There's a seal that goes in here though. It's on the back of the axle. You gotta make sure that this seal right here is not damaged. And rotor goes back in right there. Axle's going back in now. You try to guide it in as straight as possible. That's it. Then, what you want to do is line up these axle holes with the hub, with the rotor. I'm gonna tap it in, make sure it's flush here. It's nothing too crazy, it's just a different procedure than your regular brake job, so I figured I'd show you how it's done. Now Ford wants you to throw these away and reuse new ones, but come on, really? So they're torqued at 35 foot-pounds plus another 70 degrees. I'm just gonna gun them down because I do what I want. You heard it. So there it is, guys. Rotor's back in. I'm gonna show you the other side just because I feel like this video is gonna be a little bit short, but we're gonna push that piston back in on this caliper. You can see what it takes. A little tool right there. And then make sure you clean your rotors. I'm gonna put the pads on. And I think that's it. No need to drain your differential fluid and put new fluid in there. I mean, unless it's time for service, then I would recommend it. But just doing the brakes right here, yeah, it's easier than it looks. Basically, this tool just line up the notches. What am I saying? You guys know what you're doing. Come on. I mean, sometimes I don't know who's watching the videos. I don't know if it's entry-level techs or advanced motherfuckers, and they're just laughing at me trying to teach them shit. But you never know who's watching, so that tool just goes in there. And you're gonna rotate this chingadera here so that it pushes the piston back in. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. Screw this back so that it puts pressure on it. And keep going. Brake job shouldn't take you that long. It should probably take you like 30 minutes at most, if anything. This is actually the second one of these that we've gotten. First time we did it, we thought we had to take the differential cover off and take off some pins, but don't even got to take anything off. Just hammer that shit out. Shit makes it really nice, so thank you, Ford. Thank you for that. Let me just push this piston back in, put everything back over here on this side, and then we'll do the other side. All right, one other thing I want to mention to you real quick. The inner brake pad has a notch right here. The outer one doesn't have a notch. This notch right here has to be aligned on that caliper gap right there. So when you spin your caliper piston in, it has to be perpendicular or vertical. It has to align with the fucking notch on the pad. So let me show you. See the way the caliper is right now? That's not how it's supposed to be. So you want those two notches on the caliper piston to be at 12 and 6 o'clock, so that when you put your brake pad in there, it sits flush on there. So let me show you. Right, this is what I'm talking about right here. The notch is at 12 o'clock. There's that pin on that brake pad, so when you put it on there, the brake pad is flush. You guys get the idea. And yeah, just button everything back up, and we'll finish this side off. My mistake. That notch is actually not here. It's actually on the inside of the brake pad. That's why you couldn't see it. So, but trust me, it is lined up, because all you need is this notch to line up with that one, and you're good. So let's go do the other side now. That literally took like 2 minutes compared to the other side. Rotor's off, axle's out. Just make sure your seal's good and you'll be good. Alright, there it is. Quick and easy rear brake job. Just gotta put everything back. Don't let the caliper hang like I do. That's bad. Yeah, let me just button it up, take it for a test drive, make sure everything's good, no noise, and we'll get to go. One more thing. So pads are in, rotor's in. I'm trying to turn this caliper back in, but you gotta pay attention to that arrow. Let me see if you can see it. That arrow right there, that's pointing to the left. So when you're trying to push this piston back in, it's actually counterclockwise. So there you have it, guys. 2017. This probably works on the 2016 Transit 150. It's one of these big ass work vans that they're using now. Rear brakes and rotors. If you're just gonna slap pads, then slapping pads will work for you. Let me put the window up a little bit. And you're not gonna need this, right? But if you're gonna be swapping rotors or resurfacing them, then you're gonna have to pull out the axle. So tip number one is unbolt the rotor, turn it and pull it up against the axle, and then hammer on the rotor. That's gonna make your axle and pop it out of there. Just pay attention to the seal, make sure it's still good. Tip number two, pay attention to the way that your caliper piston is going back into place. On the left rear, you're screwing it back in clockwise. On the right rear, you're gonna screw it in counterclockwise. There's actually arrows that I didn't see in the beginning, but I found them, so those are gonna point you in the right direction. Tip number three is don't forget to top off the differential fluid, because you are gonna lose about half a quart. That's what I put in there, about half a quart of 75-85. So top it off if you're not gonna be doing a full service. And that's it. Everything is just nuts and bolts, and it's a regular brake job, other than popping out the axle out of place and topping off your fluids. So hope that helped you guys. If it did, leave the video a like, and if you guys have any questions or comments, drop them down in the comment section below. And that's it. I'll see you guys on the next one.